Day. We welcome you to Network Associates Coliseum, the Battle of the Bay. Who will control the neighborhood, at least for now? Well, Raider fans, they're out in full force, the Raider once again ready to pledge their allegiance to their team, as Raider players are already visiting the famed Black Hole. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Gray, joined by Raider greats Jim Plunkett, Sean Jones. Jim, first to you. You played for both of these teams. What does this game mean to both the players and the fans?
Well, Jim, certainly for the fans, it's all about bragging rights. Who's the better team, at least for now? For each team, it's a chance to get better, but also there's no love lost between these two franchises. They both want to prove that each team is the best team, at least for now, in the Bay Area.
And Sean, we see the regulars, and how important will it be for the Raider starters develop some kind of consistency and continuity?
Well, you know, as a player, you want to find a way to turn it on. And so preseason normally is not a big deal, but when you're 1-2 like San Francisco, 0-2 like the Raiders, you need to find some continuity, Jim. Expect the players to play more today, probably throw the first half and coming back out in the second half just to get that continuity.
Folks, this will look an awful lot more like a regular season game than a preseason game. We're going to be joined by George Atkinson on the sidelines when we return. Partly cloudy skies here at Network Associates Stadium, Oakland, California. The battle for the Bay. As you look at Jeff Chandler, he's involved in quite a slugfest for his job with Cortez. As we look at the Raiders who will receive, Derek Combs and Terry Kirby. Little wind on the field. Ball was knocked off the tee, so Chandler will once again reapproach. We're just moments away from the kickoff. Official for tonight, Peter Morelli, working his first game. Kirby fields it a couple of yards deep, takes it out of the gravel. Brings it out to about the 28-yard line, where he is met by Frank Strong. All right, we promised George Atkinson. Here he is, down on the sidelines. George?
Hey, Jim, you know, this season, the Raiders could start the season with new defensive players, and it could mean that the Raiders' defense has improved tremendously. When you look at the defensive tackles, Sam Adams and John Perella, they'll be there to stop the run. They're big enough to do that. Then you look at outside linebackers, Romanowski and Barton, they will improve the pass rush. And then you look at the secondary, where battle for positions is real strong, and Derek Gibson and Rod Woodson, they could solidify already great secondary. Back to you, Jim.
All right, George, we'll take a look at that defense right now. Defense is on the field. Charlie Gardner catches the ball. We take a look at the Raider offense, led of course by Rich Gannon. A couple of Pro Bowl seasons in a row. There you take a look at what he did last year. The offensive line once again back together. Barrett Robbins at center, as well as the people you're very familiar with. Charlie Gardner just caught that pass. Tim Brown and Jerry Rice going up against his former team. Of course, he spent 16 seasons with the 49ers. Gannon once again, and this time it goes to Rice, and he'll have a first down. 2 for 2 is Rich Gannon as we take a look at the 49er defense. A very young defense, the youngest in the league. Dana Stubblefield, of course, not being one of their younger players. There you take a look at their fine linebacking core. A lot of first-round picks have gone into building this defense. Zach Bronson, Tony Parrish, Jason Webster, and Ahmad Plummer make up the defensive backfield. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 41-yard line for the Raiders. Gannon looking deep. He's got a man, and the play is broken up. Ahmed Plummer breaks it up. Pass was intended for James Jett. Ball was just slightly underthrown, Jim.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that they want to work on. They have been working on this preseason, that training camp, getting the ball down the field a little bit more than John Gruden used to like to do. Bill Callahan feels that, you know, they've got the weapons to go down the field a little bit in the past.
But on that last play, you saw a mismatch there where you had Jeremy Bingham trying to play pass block against Andre Carter. That's a good way to open up some quarterbacks if you have that kind of matchup.
Ball goes to Garner, big hole, and he's got it about 9 yards, and he's taken down by Plummer. Nice run, good push by the offensive line, Sean.
Yeah, it's a nice push by the offensive line. I really believe the strength of this football team, this offensive football team especially, is the offensive line. Sims just reminds me of a kid, Zimmerman, that played in the league, Gary Zimmerman, way back. Keeps a low base, and the guards are big, like all Raider guards have been in the past, and just doing a very good job. What you're going to find out with this offensive line, guys are going to get cut that are going to be able to make other teams in the NFL. Very, very solid unit, the offensive line of the Raiders.
And you talk about Barry Sims. Barry Sims is a guy who played with a broken foot literally all last year. He just sucked it up and went out there week after week. And fortunately, this offseason, he was able to work on it and get it healed. And then Barrett Robbins is back after being out with a knee injury. So I think you're absolutely right. The strength of this offense right now is that offensive line and how well they work together.
And they're no-name bunch, Jim, as you know. And you mentioned Barrett Robbins coming back from the injury this year. I thought that was a key for him to come back this year because of he's got that edge to that nastiness, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Double tight end. Here we'll take a look at the short yardage situation for the Raiders. Hand off to Zach Crockett, the short yardage specialist. He's picked it up, gain of a yard, yard and a half. Plenty for the first down, and the Raiders move 2 first downs.
And that's exactly what the Raiders like to do with Zach Crockett and Tyrone Wheatley for that in that short yardage goal line situations. They take Charlie Garner out and put in the big backfield and let them get the first down with their strength and speed.
First and 10 for the Raiders. Nice return by Kirby. Drive started on the 28, just underway at the Coliseum in Oakland. Gannon will attempt his third pass. Sidearms it to Gardner, his second reception, pickup of 2 or 3, and bring up a second down.
And that's what makes Charlie Garner so tough. In the open field, the guy had a great position on him, just eluded the tackle. Unfortunately, he slipped along the sidelines, but that's what makes Charlie such an explosive player. He can get by that first tackle, sometimes that second tackle, and he can take it all the way.
How important is the first drive in a game to a quarterback, Jim?
Oh, I mean, it's certainly great to be able to put a drive like this together, but and the Raiders have done a lot of that, but they've come up shy of points. They've usually had to set the goal a lot more often than they would like to. But it's a great confidence builder, no doubt about it.
Garner again for a short game. Should bring up a 3rd and 6. Dana Stubblefield on the tackle.
And this is really their first long yardage kind of situation that they face, and they have not done too well in the preseason. And I think Sean has the stats on that.
Yeah, 33% on third down this year so far in the preseason.
Which is not very good.
8th play of the drive. Randy Jordan now behind Gannon. 3 wide receivers. Looks like Gannon switching the play. Incomplete. That'll bring up 4th and 5, and the Raiders will now have to kick it away.
They just dropped down to 32.7%, Jim.
I know. They've got to improve that in order to be contender. You know that. But, one of the things, and Gannon read it well, the Niners do like to from all positions, the safeties, the linebackers, and that time they brought 2 linebackers on a blitz and put a lot of pressure on Rich Gannon.
Jimmy Williams back to receive Kevin Stempke's putt. And it is fielded by the Raiders down on the 1-yard line. Nice play by Johnny Harris, who was down there to catch the kick. So Lemke does his job very well. And we'll be back to take a look at the 49er offense when we return to Network Associates Stadium. The football here this evening. Stempke filling in for Leckler. Leckler will hold tonight, regular punter, but he still is suffering from the quads. As you take a look at the famed black hole, these Raider faithful, you think they know the difference, guys, between preseason and regular season?
For these guys, I don't think it ever changes for them. It seems like they never leave the black hole. For A's games, no matter what, they're still there.
Garcia at the controls. He hands it off to Beasley, and Beasley just barely gets out of the end zone. He's met by a gang of Raiders. Eric Barton led the way. So we take a look at the 49ers offense. Jeff Garcia, a couple years ago, 1999, he was a free agent. Now he's a 2-time Pro Bowler. Take a look at the banged up offensive line. Ben Lynch in tonight for Jeremy Newberry. Terrell Owens, one of the best in the league. Garrison Hurst, 2-time NFL Comeback Player of the Year. And Terrell Owens, who is now far out spread offense. It is 2nd down and 10. Garcia from the end zone, and the ball is dropped. Eric Barton knocked it away. We take a look at the Raider defense. There you see the defensive line. John Ferrella. Of course, he'll be joined next week by Sam Adams. We'll talk an awful lot about that. Romanowski, Biekert, and Barton, amongst the best in the NFL. Woodson in tonight for Anthony Dorsett, who will not play. Johnny Harris and Torrey James, the defensive backfield for the Raiders. Eric Johnson dropped that ball. 3rd down and 10 from the 1-yard line for the 49ers. Garcia once again. This time it goes off the helmet of J.J. Stokes. 3 and out, and that's what the Raider defense wants to see. Rod Woodson defending.
This is what you want in your defense in terms of setting the tone. Everyone knows as a player, you X out the first 2 preseason games. Quarterback was a good hit in the backfield. That's the kind of Raider defense you want to see out here.
Reggie Barlow to receive the punt. Jason Baker kicks it away. A high arcing kick taken at the 42. He's got some room to the 40. There's a seam. One man to beat. He's on his feet. Touchdown Raiders. Reggie Barlow. 58 yards. 6-0 Raiders.
Jim, I think they heard the same speech that we've been saying, because this is not the same Raider team we've seen the 2 previous preseason games, Jim.
Well, it's also the first game at Hull. Actually set up with a real good blocking job right there. He's able to take it up the middle. As he sees that seam, break another tackle by the punter, and then just head into the end zone.
Special teams have been a real problem for the Raiders in the preseason games. Janikowski. That one's good. The Raiders, 7-0.
Desmond Howard, because he made a difference in terms of field position.
Janikowski kicks it away. This one comes down. Terry Jackson spins away, makes a nice return out of that. He is taken down all the way out by Derek Holmes to the 42-yard line. The Raiders have the lead. Good defensive series their first time out, 3 and out. We'll be back to see what this one produces when we return.
3rd, but yeah, 5 preseason games, way too much, Plunk. What do you think?
Well, I think so. I think you're absolutely right. In my day, when I first got in the league, we had 6 usually on a regular basis. And when the Hall of Fame game became instituted, 7 preseason games.
But that's because you guys had leather helmets and it took long.
Plus, we only had 14 regular season games, but added up to about the same.
Garrison Hurst on the gain of 4. Hey, Jim, how much did the starters play in those 6 games that you had, and how much did it affect the team later in the season?
Well, starters played a lot more in those days, because in those days you didn't have as many off-season mini camps, and a lot of players used to play themselves into shape to get ready for the regular season.
Long count by Garcia, fumbles the snap, ball's on the floor, on the ground, and the Raiders have recovered. Penalty marker down. Travian Smith, I believe, is the man who recovered the fumble. They'll sort things out because there was a lot of confusion by the 49ers.
Illegal snap by the center prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
And you know, Jim, you know how important the center is, because the center starts everything. And since Jeremy Newberry is out with an injury, first a calf muscle, now a broken finger, I believe, you know, I don't think Jeff Garcia has really worked all that much with Ben Lynch, or certainly not nearly as much as he needs to make sure that snap is up and correct every time.
Sean, what's an illegal snap? Is that the hesitation that he had there? It was like a stutter step?
Exactly. It's almost like it becomes an illegal procedure type of call, so it's a dead play. But that's why there was no recovery in the snap.
Did the infield?
No, it looked like it was indecision between the quarterback and the snap count more than the infield. But I bet you, Jim, before the end of the game, we're going to talk more about this infield. These combination fields are useless in the NFL.
Another penalty marker, Hurst on the carry. Taken down by Eric Barton. Two flags in a row. Peter Morelli, it's his first game, as we'll hear from him as an NFL referee.
Offside, number 93 on the defense, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
You certainly expect that from Trace.
Get ready for the fact that, you're going to see, you see Trace Armstrong there a little bit offside. You're going to see that they're going to call the line of scrimmage a lot closer. That's both on the offensive side of the ball as well as the defensive side of the ball. If you're close at all, they're going to call those penalties.
Another penalty marker thrown. Garcia just gets rid of it under tremendous pressure. Torrey James almost picks it off, and now we've got 3 flags in a row.
Now, I tell you, Sean, I really love the way the Raiders are coming. 49ers putting pressure on Garcia every time he drops back to throw, shutting down the running game very effectively.
Legal procedure there called against the 49ers.
Jim, you're hitting the nail right this year.
They're going to struggle with this all season. One gets the feeling. Well, we'll try it again. Second down, 4th time. We'll try second down. Now and 11. Garcia to Hurst. Taken down for a very short gain.
Well, we can say what we want to say about preseason games, but I'm telling you that someone had a talk with someone because they're just 11 black shirts to every play that's being called right now on the defensive side of the ball. And that bodes to where a strength is on the defense this year. They've done such a great job in terms of adding team speed on this defense that it's a shame that we didn't see more of it early in the couple, the first 2 preseason games. There were all the penalties and you didn't get the kind of continuity that you had that defense. But tremendous team speed on that defense this year.
Garcia delivers it. This ball is well short. Somebody ran a wrong pattern or the ball wasn't delivered to the proper place. Once again, after a series of penalties, though, I guess we can call that 3 and out.
That's true. But
it took about 8 plays, but it's 3 and out.
But I want you to see the pressure, if you can, of Trace Armstrong coming up the field. He took an inside charge, had to be picked up by a back, and there's no way a back can pick him up.
So Jason Baker will once again punt. Reggie Barlow try his magic once again. Another nice kick. Lots of room from the field. This one, Barlow waits for a fair catch, and he had about 15 yards in front of him. 48-yard kick. Penalty marker has been thrown, so we'll sort things out.
Obviously, they do need more work. They've a lot of miscues, a lot of illegal motion penalties, a lot of penalties, period, and they need to work on it and smooth it out.
If nothing else, the conditioning part of it, just to get in sync with the guys you're going to be playing with come September, it's necessary. But I still wouldn't kill the guys out here. You don't need to have a full game.
Gives it to Gardner, who has very little room.
And one thing which is very uncharacteristic, but Rich Gannon was not here all offseason,
right?
And he probably needs the work as much as anybody to get back his sharpness of the last couple of years. So he probably more work than probably the rest of the offensive line.
And how about the offensive line with all the injuries, Sean? What about just getting a chemistry, getting a rhythm together? Of course, the new rules, just all the things that you have to have for 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Well, everything that you're seeing out here, like Jim alluded to, in terms of the penalties that we're seeing. There we go with another one. Just getting accustomed to the.
Here in the preseason, they come into tonight with 26. Here's Gannon. He's got a man.
Ball.
Barry Rice dropped the ball. Now ruled incomplete.
Ruling on the field. This is incomplete. 3rd down.
Jason Webster thought he had a touchdown. Dana Stubblefield applied the pressure.
You might as well get your calendar out and check that one off. That's Jerry Rice dropping a pass, which never happens.
I know, you'd almost think that you'd take a photo of it and save it,
Zach Bronson was there to apply the hit. And Jerry just took his eye off the ball right before Bronson hit him. Now brings up a 3rd and 12. Ball on the Raider 3. Gannon throws it out there deep. Overthrows his man. Jerry Porter was the intended receiver.
And if you're looking for a difference between a John Gruden team and a Bill Callahan team, that's something you're going to see a lot more of this year, where the ball going more vertical, back to, the Jim Plunkett era, where the ball went vertical, a lot more Raider-type offense. Callahan has made a commitment where he wants to see the ball go downfield a lot more, Jim.
Yeah, and they're not complete. They certainly put a scare into the
Right.
DB if you got to, if you have them beat, and they can't just sit on 14, 16-yard pass routes or less. They've got to be worried about somebody beating them deep.
Terry Jackson misplays that one. Stempke with another good kick. 52 yards, no return. Raiders special teams looking much better this evening, having their number. Garcia in the return to the field. 2 3 and outs. Drops back to pass, is pressured, and is taken down. Sacked by John Perella.
Now you know why they got John Perella from the San Diego Chargers. Did you see that hit?
Oh my goodness. By the time Garcia realized what he'd ran into, he was run over. Now this is, you talk about, goodness gracious.
And they've got him by the jersey. Oh, he did bone him.
When you talk about Jerry, dropping a ball and taking a picture of it, Perella on the sack, that is something you're not going to see a lot of. He's a run stopper and gets up in the middle and pushes that pocket, but it's nice to see him just knock the quarterback around.
2nd and 17. Forces Garcia. This one a little screen. Goes out to Hurst. Pursued and taken down by the Raiders. The first man to him was number 57, Rod Coleman, but taken down later by Romanowski as he escaped that tackle.
And I like what I'm seeing, Jim.
Right.
All across the field, getting to the football.
And you mentioned Perella that he doesn't often get to the quarterback, but that kind of pressure up the middle really puts a lot of onus on the quarterback. He has nowhere to step up to, and if you have pressure by the ends as well, you're playing great defense that way.
Yeah, that last play you saw Armstrong, Coleman, Romanowski,
right.
Woodson. That's a lot of guys to the ball.
8 plays for the 49ers offense, minus 4 yards. Garcia forced out of the again, unloads it way downfield. Terrell Owens stopped running on the play, ball overthrown. 3 up, 3 down, 9 up, 9 down. Number 1 pick Philip Buchanan, who saw an awful lot of action at the University of Miami as a returner. We'll give Reggie Barlow a spell. Bad kick this time. Buchanan tells everybody to get away. This one shanked by Jason Baker. They still are walking it off. 29-yard kick. So Rich Gannon and the Raiders will take over from the 36-yard line. Rich Gannon has been nothing short of sensational to the Pro Bowl the last 2 years. Take a look at the touchdowns compared to the interceptions, Jim Plunkett, and that's what everybody around the league looks at.
You're absolutely right. When you don't turn the ball over very much, you're giving your offense a lot of opportunities to score during the course of the ball game.
Gardner, and once again, it looks to me like Barry Sims. Sean has come out of his stance.
Yeah, he's having a rough time with the call to the cage.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 65 on the offense.
Andre's there. Well, I guess Ruben Carter, you know him pretty well, though.
Oh, I've
seen him from
intimately.
the ground up a couple of times, haven't you?
I hope I didn't hurt him. That's all I hope.
Here's Gannon. With some time, lobs it out and overthrows Rice. Rice complains he's being held, and now he will get the mark. Rice complained that he was being held by Jason Webster. In fact, he was. Penalty flag will go against the 49ers.
Now, if you're Webster or if you're a Matt Plummer, you have to know that the Michael Jordan rule.
Holding. Number 36 on defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic.
No, the Michael
First
Jordan
down.
rule. The Jordan rule applies whether it's holding or not. If he says he was held, you know he must have been held because he's not even going to complain unless he had to be held.
That was not the Jordan rule. That was just plain holding.
No, that is a different rule. That's Jordan rule subsection 2, where if he says it, the ref just believes it anyhow because it had to happen. That time it did.
Subsection 3 here shortly.
3.
Handoff goes to Gardner. He's got a big hole to the 50. Couple men to beat. Gaining speed to the 35, the 30, and run out of bounds by Zach Bronson. 39-yard gain for Charlie Gardner.
And that's a great back on Charlie Garner's part. He's going to the left. He's going to the left. It gets bottled up. He sees some room on the right-hand side of the formation and makes a quick break to the outside and comes up with a long gainer. But, you know, and that's one of the other things that Bill Callahan wanted to concentrate on. They dropped down 50 yards per game a year ago to about 104 yards a game. Rushing, they want to get that back up to about 150 as they did the year before.
Longest Raider run of the preseason. Gardner again goes right back to work. Another nice hole. Picks up 4 or 5.
And Charlie has great vision. All right, Charlie has the things that you need in a great running back. One, he makes the first guy miss. Secondly, he has great vision, and he now the pursuers who are chasing him front side, they have to chase him backside.
2nd and 6. Raiders lead 7-0. 3:42 left in the first quarter. 3rd straight carry for Gardner. This time the 49ers have him wrapped up. Short gain. Met by the pile. Andre Carter leading the way.
And this is one of the things.
Title preseason. 3rd and 5. Raiders would like to do well down here in the red zone. Ball is dumped off by Gannon. Coming out of the backfield is Randy Jordan. Dana Stubblefield on the tackle. This should bring out Sebastian Janikowski for a field goal try.
And for the first time this preseason, Leckler's going to hold. Before they had Stemke or Tui Asasopo, I should say. And so this makes a big difference for Sebastian.
Struggling here in preseason is Sebastian Janikowski. 2 for 5. This one from 36 yards. No good.
I spoke too soon.
Well,
and he's hearing it from the fans.
Laces, every time I think about a missed kick, I think about Laces Out. What was that movie? Ace Ventura?
I don't watch that stuff.
Oh, come
Sean,
on.
but go ahead, tell me. You tell us about
Laces
it.
Out, Plunk. With Marino, and the laces were kicked the wrong way, and
it caused them to lose the Super Bowl.
Come on.
I saw it this morning.
So Janikowski misses from 36 yards. He's now, Bruce Allen told us before the game, better that he struggled in the preseason than in the regular season to have a slump. But something is off with him. 49ers take over. 25. Hurst is wrapped up. Greeted by Napoleon Harris, #1 pick for the Raiders. Romanowski was also there, as was Johnny Harris.
You know, but you know, as they say, as well as this defense is playing, you know, the 49ers are still only a touchdown behind. So it's important when you have a team on the ropes, you know, to put more points on the board.
10 plays for the 49er offense, -4 yards. Owens and Stokes the receivers. Beasley and Hurst in the backfield. Garcia takes the snap, gives it to Beasley. He's taken down right away. Nice play once again by John Perella. He's a big load up front. And with the addition of Sam Adams, gentlemen, who will not play tonight but was acquired this week, he'll be coming in. The Raiders will be a very, very formidable front line.
Their front seven is really playing well so far today. And what they're doing now, close to the line of scrimmage and doing what he does well. This kid, they haven't played middle linebacker now, probably better suited there as a weak side linebacker, but learning what it takes to call the plays and do well in this defense.
Garcia finds Owens. Owens, for a big gain, is taken down by Johnny Harris, but not after he picks up 35 yards and a first down.
And actually, Terrell Owens has been used quite a bit this preseason. He's already got 10 catches coming into this ball game.
And he has something to say to several of the Raiders.
Overall offense is trying to do, but Terrell Owens is a special player in this league.
Pow!
Garcia finds Beasley and is taken down right away by Eric Barton.
Barton took it easy on him.
He did. You know, he wanted to make sure of the tackle too as well. But you know, one of the things I think Chuck Bresnahan has done is prepared this team very well for this particular football game.
That'll do it for the first quarter. The Raiders, on the shoulders of Reggie Barlow's punt return, have a 7-0 lead.
Playing well. It's like they got a warning during the week that they had to play well, and they are. The atmosphere down here is like it's regular season. These guys are fired up, and they're playing like they want to play football and like they expect to play during this season. Back to you guys. Take a look at the Raiders defense.
2nd down and 11 as we start the second period. Sean Jones, Jim Plunkett, George Atkinson. Garcia back to pass. Dumps it out to the tight end. Eric Johnson has the catch. Gain of about 4.
And Eric Johnson, you know, I think a surprise player out of Yale. He started 15 of the 16 games for the 49ers last year. Very good tight end.
But he's an Eli. What the devil?
I don't have no idea.
Eli's, some schools who just change their names. And Eli, I mean, it's a goat. So either you're a Ram or something. Ryan Eli. You know, Ivy League will just do things on purpose. Well, you're a Stanford guy, so you guys are in the same boat. You guys just do things, make things difficult for no reason.
Hey, we're a color.
You're a color.
Garcia, penalty marker down. Harassed by Coleman and by Perella. Incomplete, but we'll see what the penalty is all about.
And it should be holding in that situation. Like.
But do you take this penalty if that's what it is, Sean, or do you have him kick from 52 yards?
I'd back him up. You know, I'd back him up, but this is a nothing kick anyhow, so they probably won't take it. But I'd back him up just to make it a longer punt.
What do you mean it's a nothing kick?
It's a nothing kick. He's not going to make it.
Well, you don't know that.
Well,
Please,
these guys are trying to make the team. Cortez.
Illegal formation. Number
Chandler?
78 on the
let's
offense.
see what they
lined
do.
up in the backfield. The penalty will be declined.
Let's see then.
4th down.
Okay.
Well, we're going to see.
Let's see. I say kick.
And Baker's going to punt it away.
Anyway, because it's a nothing kick.
Well, you got to wonder why. Why not give a guy a 52-yard shot?
Can't hurt. It's a
Why
preseason
not?
game, even if you give the other
we'll
team
find
field
out where
position.
they're at. Yeah, I don't understand this.
Well, the Raiders they're in their safe punt mode. That means they still have most of their defense still on the field because they don't want to take a chance one way or another.
Plus, maybe the 49ers just want to get them backed up, get good field position if their defense can hold the Raiders back there.
Kicking to Phillip Buchanan. Penalty marker, so we may see a field goal anyway. This one's going to sail into the end zone. We'll check out the penalty. Peter Morelli worked the Super Bowl last year as a side judge, 6th year in the NFL. Tonight,
you know, just possibly might not quite be in sync just yet.
Tyron Wheatley in the backfield. Saw some action last week against Tennessee. Gannon in the pocket. Dumps it off to Wheatley. Gain of 5. Taken down by Olbrich.
But, you know, they'd like to get Wheatley back a little bit more into the flow of the game. He was hurt quite a bit last year. Charlie Garner took the brunt of the running during the season a year ago. So it'd be nice to get see Wheatley have a lot of plays.
It's something a little bit different than Garner gives. Garner gives you that slashing, that change of pace, that counter running. But Wheatley is a power runner that has the ability still to make the first guy miss. And what he gives is that hard running between the tackles that you need for those tough yards.
And also, you know, he's a guy who's got some speed.
Yeah,
and sometimes
definitely.
if he can get past those linebackers, he can go a long distance.
Take a look at Jerry Rice as he catches this ball. Plummer drives him out of bounds.
It's a nice out pattern, playing it safe, backing off a little bit from Jerry Rice, letting him catch those ones underneath.
Tim, let me ask you, interview the other night on Monday Night Football, Terrell Owens indicated that he thought he could get 2,000 yards. Of course, the record is 1848, set by Jerry Rice in 1995. As we take a look at Wheatley, still on his feet. He's a tough man to bring down. Finally is taken down by Stubblefield. He indicated he thought he could get 2,000 yards, and that's a goal of his. Is that realistic, A? And B, type of thing you should be saying?
Well, you know, yeah, I think it's a realistic goal. As good as you know, Terrell Owens is, the way he makes people miss and the way he can break tackles, he can go a long way out of nothing. He's just a big, tough, wide receiver. And B, you know, everybody sets goals of some sort. You know, and, it seems unattainable, but not necessarily so.
Of course, Jerry Rice played with Terrell Owens when he was in San Francisco. There's a nice pass and a good grab by Porter. We take a look at the first 6-year comparison between Jerry Rice and the man who was mentored by him, Terrell Owens. Take a look at the yards difference, 20 more touchdowns. Same amount of games. The receptions are fairly close as well.
But, you know, Jerry Rice, you know, as good as he is now, he was just phenomenal when he was younger and just getting into the league. I mean, he could take a short pass and turn it into 6 almost every time he touched the ball. He was incredible, and he still is pretty incredible.
Well, you put San Francisco, he's probably still their best receiver, not their best athlete, but he's definitely their best receiver, probably still their best receiver. And for San Francisco to have given up on him, I don't understand it.
4th down.
Ahmad Plummer breaks up Jeremy Brigham, who had the ball.
But you're right. I remember
Let's go of it, incomplete.
Playing against Jerry Rice, you know, back when he was younger, and he was just a blur.
Well, remember him and John Taylor.
Oh, goodness.
John Taylor, you know, I can remember they caught maybe 2 passes each in one game for each, about 160 yards.
Kevin Stepke to Jimmy Williams. He waves everyone away. Takes a good Raider bounce. Rolls inside the 10. And he'll be downed on the 7-yard line. 54-yard punt. I like that roll. A little luck right there. Nice smile by Stepke.
The game is their ability after, you know, the San Francisco 49ers offense with just their front 7 and just their 4-man line.
Just 1 first down so far for the 49ers. That was Kevin Barlow, and the heart and soul of the Raider defense, Charles Woodson, is now with George Atkinson. George?
Fired up, like the intensity level was up. What happened this week, man? It got everything going so fast.
I think it's just the excitement of us playing the 49ers that brought it out of us. You know, we got to have a showing against these guys anytime we play them.
You know, when you look at the guys who are in camp, talk about some of the guys who have stepped it up on the defensive end and who are having a real good camp right now.
I think all those guys playing on the defensive line, you know, we're losing Grady Jackson and Darrell Russell and guys like that. We needed somebody to step up. And Tony Bryant and Ryan Coleman have stepped in and done a good job for us, and we're expecting big things out of them this year.
Now, how will Sam Adams really help? I mean, he comes in, he brings the load. Talk about what he brings to the table.
You see, I start smiling when you say that name. He's definitely going to help us out. Like I say, with us losing Grady Jackson, we got another proven guy that can go in there and get it done.
Okay, man. Back to you, Jim.
All right, thank you, George. San Francisco confused. They took a timeout. They'll have second. Raider fans are loud. They're not too plentiful tonight. Stadium half empty, some 29,000 people here. But they are making a scene in that end zone, making it tough for Garcia to hear as he just gets rid of it as he was leveled in the pressure by Derek Gibson. Puts him to the ground, and Garcia is a little bit shaken up, wondering exactly where he is.
Yeah, and Gibson comes on the safety blitz right up the chute, and Garcia sees him way too late. And the interesting thing about having Gibson in the game right now is that now you're seeing him with Rod Woodson. The entire preseason, the two have worked together, and the communication has to be there. So much of blitzing is timing, and you have to know where your other guy is, your other safety is, in order to cover your butt once you get through there. Nice blitz right there by Gibson. You can see the communication between he and Woodson.
Gibson in a battle with Johnny Harris for the starting position, the #1 pick for the Raiders last year. Garcia in trouble again, being pursued by Smith, throws it away. Good coverage once again by the Raiders.
And we talked about the team speed, Jim, and we've been talking about it all afternoon and all preseason. And as much team speed as they have with their starters, they probably have more with the guys that come off the bench.
You know, that was Travion Smith chasing him to the outside. It's hard to recognize him because he's number 57. But, you know, he cuts him off, and then just puts on a burst of speed to make him hurry up that throw. And you've got to like what you're seeing. You know, unlike you with preseason games, you know, if the Raiders win, or the 49ers going to say it's just preseason and vice versa. But still, they're playing much better than they have all preseason.
Baker, and Buchanan runs away from it. So the Raiders will have great field position. A 32-yard kick. The Raiders will now take over on their 36-yard line. Again, Rich Gannon will come out and try and get the offense into the end zone, something they would very much like to do.
Well, there's a pace that's been set by the starters, and what you'd like to see now that they're substituting is that you still keep that intensity up, and it carries all the way through, irrespective of who's in the football game. So we're going to see if they're able to pull that off. And you'd think that they'd have to, because guys have to know the importance of just putting one game together where they're playing well.
Plus, they're fighting for jobs.
Cut down day, as we said, is coming up next week. Gannon, wide open is Wheatley. Still struggling, staying on his feet. And a penalty marker comes. Jason Webster throws him out of bounds. And some extracurricular activity after that by Jamie Winborn. Jamie Winborn is going to get a personal foul, it looks like.
Yeah, no question about it. He hit Tyrone Wheatley when he's bounds and the play was over.
Personal foul. Unnecessary reference.
Defense,
15-yard penalty or half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
That's one of those right calls, but you understand why it happened, because Wheatley's still struggling for yards, didn't really recognize where he was on the field, and so he gets hit. So it's the right call in the situation, but you can also understand why he got hit.
You say that because you play defense.
I say that because I'd have hit it myself.
Raiders have found their equal in terms of penalties tonight. San Francisco now more penalized than the Raiders.
No, we hit it at the top of the in the opening that San Francisco really has not been in sync as a team either, and they've had 5 preseason games, so their hump game should have been the previous game. If we talk about trying to get it ready.
Wheatley with a big hole,
And that's what Wheatley brings to the game. Different style than Charles Garner. He's just tough, hard-nosed, picks up those tough yards in between the tackles.
Wheatley got back into it last week against Tennessee, had 13 yards, 4 carries, and a reception. Had 267 yards last year, a string of injuries. Had a great year in 2000, more than 1,000 yards. So Raiders looking for Tyrone Wheatley to come back with a vengeance and be a major contributor once again this year. It is now 2nd and 7. 9:15 here in the second quarter. Raiders trying to score a touchdown on offense. Gannon all alone, rolls out. Plenty of time. It now collapses, throws it out, and the ball is dropped by Roland Williams.
A lot of these plays between these two teams are so similar that they see it in practice all the time. When they see that fake bootleg, they know what route's going to be run, and they run right to it. So, it's a lot of redundancy because they both see this same offense day after day.
The same plays over and over again, maybe getting to it a little bit differently in different formations. But you're right, Jim. And when you see it over and over again, you should be able to play some of these things. And it's been showing in the Raiders offense. They're taking advantage of some things that they've seen defensively.
Gannon gets rid of it. Stubblefield had him by the collar. Raiders now 1 for 6 on 3rd down. They come into the game at 33%, well below that percentage now.
That's
and we will see Sebastian Janikowski once again as we take a look at the pressure, Jim.
Yes, he has a good move on Stinscombe and gets around and just puts nice pressure on Gannon. Now, you have to know where the passing lanes are, and you have to know where to protect the quarterback. And Stinscombe just bit on the inside move there. You have to be stronger at the point of attack. Stubblefield's an excellent player, but he just bit like a fish on that last play. Stinscombe did.
Janikowski has that one. 2 penalty flags fly from the backfield. The signal is good, but this usually indicates that we had some kind of illegal crawl or jump over the backs.
Usually it came right from the judges in the back of the end zone.
Peter Morelli will sift it out. He'll talk to the Raiders. Be interesting to see what the Raiders do. It was 4th and 7. I'm sure they'll take the point since that won't be a first down unless this is an automatic first down if it's a personal foul. And it would not be climbing over the back, but they're going to talk to the Raiders about it, which leads one to believe that maybe it is an automatic first down and it's another type of penalty.
Traditionally, excuse me, Sean, you don't take off the board. That's traditional thinking. But in this situation,
on the field, defense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Not an automatic first down.
Yeah, okay. But it also depends on what your philosophy is coming into the game, Jim. Are you working on certain things? Are you trying to get certain things accomplished? Do you want to see your goal line offense, or do you want to see certain plays that you're running goal line?
Exactly.
So, that's why you make a decision like that.
Brings up a 4th and 2. Good news out of that was Janikowski made the field goal. So he gets a bit of a rhythm. And now you can work on your short yardage here, and you just see exactly where you are. As Zach Crockett, the fourth down specialist, checks into the game in the backfield with Richie. Tim Brown goes in motion. Touchdown Raiders. John Richie out of the backfield. 4th and 2. They take points off the board to put more on the board.
Yeah, and that's what John Richie did so well, not last year, but the year before.
Penalty marker, however.
Pass interference. Number 81 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. 4th down.
Well, we have a pass interference back further in the end zone on Tim Brown.
And you have to know a lot of this passing down around the goal line. There's a lot of screening going on.
We'll take a look at it here, see if we can see him pushing off. Wide shot. He holds on and he holds on. That's a very questionable call to me.
No,
was he being chucked or was he being pushing off? I mean, you know,
it was probably a little bit of both, Jim, you know. Oh, well, they get to try short yardage and field goals.
Much work as you can get in the preseason.
I guess.
Well, let's see if Janikowski can make it 2 in a row. This one will count from 33 yards. And he's missed this one. Oh, no. Wide right. Sebastian Janikowski now 2 for 7 in the preseason, and he is hearing it from the crowd here. The Raiders up by 7.
One against the Raiders. But Janikowski has to make them score.
No question about it.
Ahmad Plummer gets the break on the defensive scheme. 49ers take over. Garcia finds Johnson. Gets hit by and falls down.
Talk about the Raiders defense for a minute. We talked about Derek Gibson just a second ago. I mean, in the last series. And now you see Rod Woodson is also out there. We talked about the communication that they have to have. Rod Woodson coming into the play. What Woodson brings to this defense is tremendous leadership and know-how. When you have a young guy learning a position, there's nothing better than having a tutor like a Rod Woodson that has been in the game and been in the big games and had success and played at a high level.
I talked to him last evening, just before we had our production meeting, you know, and he was happy to be here in Oakland. He really loved the training camp session that he had. He's enjoying his stay with the Raiders, as so many former players from other teams do.
Well, they make such a big deal. You hear so much about how the Raiders have these old players on the team. You know, we say it week in and week out. There's a difference when you're adding just dead bodies as opposed to adding guys that can play football. Rod Woodson's still an excellent football player. You transition the younger guys with older guys that know how to get it done.
3rd and 3, and the play is whistled dead before it starts. It'll be a legal procedure.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 78 on the offense.
They've been against the rush in the first 2 preseason games.
3rd down and 8. Raider defense put to the test again. Garcia finds J.J. Stokes. Stokes, who had a good camp. Taking Tony Bryant, and the word on Stokes that everybody was so pleased about was the fact that he didn't get hurt this year in camp and in the preseason.
Well, you know you've got issues if that's the biggest
I know, if you're worried about
that you don't get hurt. But Stokes, Streets, those guys have to really step up to take some of the pressure off of.
But Stokes had a good year last year. 47 receptions for 500.
He had a good year for Stokes.
Okay. Well, yeah.
But he's got to take some of the pressure. They've got to really step up and be the other go-to guy, or it'll be a no-brainer. Terrell Owens will get 2,000 yards.
Raiders on the blitz. Garcia completes it to Eric Johnson, and he is taken down by Derek Gibson.
I like Derek Gibson. I mean, what's not to like about him? He's aggressive. He's a hitter. When he's on the field, there's going to be a collision someplace. Now, the only problem with that, he reminds me of a guy named Van McElroy. Okay, they call Van Crash because something was going to get hit. A lot of times it was. But somebody or something got hit out there, and Derek Gibson's the same kind of way. He just likes collisions.
Gain of 5, 2nd and 5. And Garcia once again is confused by the scheme the Raiders are throwing at him on defense.
Timeout,
Takes his second
49ers.
timeout.
Second team timeout. That will be a 30-second timeout.
You know, you talk about Derek Gibson. You know, he's also the kind of guy who's vulnerable to the play-action pass because he sees that.
Pat McElroy sure did smack some people around. When he hit you, you sure knew it.
Congratulations to Jack. He said when he hits you, he stays hit. I can't forget the time that Van ran into Matt Millen. And Matt, you know, Matt never cursed, okay, believe it or not, never cursed, and looked around and he said, "You freaking idiot! What are you doing out here?" You could hear it across the entire college.
That was obviously in practice.
No, it was actually during the game. Oh,
Matt and Matt played on the same team. So
that's the point I'm trying to make, Jim. Yeah.
3rd and 3. Garcia, end over end. The ball is put out and dropped by James Jordan.
No.
So they'll have to kick it away, the 49ers. The Raider defense stiffens once again. University of Miami. 32 punt returns there.
He's impressive this preseason as well.
There's a very high short kick. This one's going to come down way, way away from where Buchanan was ready to receive, and we have a penalty marker down. This will be the 12th penalty of the game. Holding on the Raiders. Second time they'll have been whistled for that on a punt.
I'm sure Bob Casula is going to have a long talk with the people who committed those fouls.
Holding, number 36 of the receiving team during the kick. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Derek Gibson having a conversation right now with Coach Callahan. So excited to be a head coach. He had said it was a dream of his to fulfill, and to be out here tonight as we take a look at Tyrone Wheatley as he just runs over the opposition, Julian Peterson.
Yeah.
But this was a dream come true. Callahan, he was so excited about taking this job, about being here in the preseason, his first home game.
Well, they've certainly responded tonight. They're playing awfully well for him.
Yeah, Gannon go through every conceivable read that he could get. There's nothing there, dumps it off, and then Peterson forgets to bring his big boy pads. When you try to lay a hit on Wheatley, if you don't get low and strike him before he strikes you, that's going to be the result. You're going to get run over.
Another short pass by Gannon. Long run this time. Once again by Wheatley, taken down by Plummer, and Wheatley looks like he's getting back into form where he's going to be an effective player again this year for the Raiders.
And they get a little timid after you've run the first guy over. I mean, it's a mismatch with Wheatley in the secondary like that.
No question about it. And Gannon's starting to warm up too. You know, this is when he's at his best. You know, people are covered. He always knows who the open guy is and goes to him and drops it off, just like he did the last 2 times to Tyrone Wheatley.
I was talking to you earlier, Jim, and I asked you what's the most important thing for a quarterback to look at, and you said swinging. You said, you know where to go with the football.
Exactly.
Where, like you said, Gannon is at his best when he's going through his reads and knows it.
Raiders offense continues to work. 2nd down and 10. Gannon. In motion is Jordan. Gannon finds the tight end, Roland Williams. Williams on a nice gain of about 9. You know, when talking to Bill Callahan, you know,
the media, the front office, it's a lot of work.
Rocket, the short yardage man, and this one looks as though he is barreled across the 48-yard line. He needed to get just past the 49 and taken down by Wilborn. And Winborn has stopped him after it looks like he has got the first down, and we have a 49er down. 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Zach Crockett on the reception. Gannon doing a very good dumping the ball off, getting guys into short patterns. That'll take us to the 2-minute warning. Derek Smith on the tackle. The Raiders offense trying to move down into the red zone and see if they can get some points before the half ends. Punt return by Barlow, a very positive sign. The offense, I'm sure they'd like to see some better things. see if they can get it into the end zone. There's some points on the board here in the final 2-minute drill. Minute 52 left. Gannon with a lot of time over the middle to Jerry Rice. Raiders will take timeout.
Oakland.
Big a deal. What you'd like to do, though, is just execute. And as long as you're executing, it's a winning situation for you in the preseason.
Gannon 5 for 5 on this drive. Back in the pocket. This time he's taken down. He loses the football. Still on the ground. Forwarded ahead. Still on the ground. My goodness, about 7 people have touched that ball. Finally picked up by the 49ers. Webster.
You know, and we were just talking about
Gannon holding his left hand. Excuse me, Sean.
Yeah, but we're talking about the protection. All of a sudden, it breaks down on a hard pass rush when the Raiders are in scoring territory. But here comes the rush. They had a stunt on, as you can see, twisting, and they got to Gannon in a hurry.
Yeah, Andre Carter just comes on what they call a tough stunt. Means the tackle goes first and comes around. And wide open miscommunication between a solid offensive line that should just pick up an easy stunt like that. And you're right, Jim. All afternoon long, we're talking about how well the offensive line is playing from the standpoint of keeping people out. No pressure at all. And then one play, a difference maker. I mean, you're knocking your starting quarterback out. This Raiders team is a very different team without Richard Gannon as the quarterback.
Absolutely.
And Tim Rattay has checked in for the 49ers to run the 2-minute drill, and we have a marker thrown. Barlow on the reception, Perella on the tackle.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 57 on the defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Protect the quarterback. I understand devastating hits on the quarterback, but a little touch like that, put a skirt on him if you can't touch him. Really, you should just put a red jersey on.
Season so far, just getting some reps is what they want. 28 for 42, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions.
So all you fantasy geeks, put Tim Rattay on your team.
Puts that one up, and he's got a touchdown on his first pass tonight. Still no signal. Now we get the touchdown. Cedric Wilson in the end zone. And just like that, the 49ers get a 15-yard touchdown, and with 1:17 left, they will now attempt to tie this game with a Jeff Chandler extra point.
You know, that's a great pass play by Tim Rattay. He's a lot of pressure on him. He stands in the pocket very tall and delivers right on target, and a real fine catch in the corner of the end zone. You know, all just a well-executed play.
That's on the rookie Buchanan, and they put that ball where he had to put it, Jim. But more importantly, the point that you mentioned earlier in the first quarter about the Raiders letting the 49ers just hang around.
Right.
It seems like right now it's coming back to bite them a little bit.
Yeah, certainly, you know, when you have your opportunities, you got to take advantage of them, because you don't.
At the half to confirm exactly what's wrong with him. But it is his wrist and forearm where he's having problems. Back to you guys.
Reggie Barlow takes the kickoff, still on his feet, the 31-yard line. So that means they're going to have x-rays. I don't imagine that we'll see him anymore this evening. But
you do not want to be around the offensive line coach at halftime with your star quarterback hurt, and it looks like the offensive line that gave it the pressure that got your quarterback out.
No question about it. Plus, as an offensive lineman, you know, sometimes you feel pretty bad about giving up a sack and possibly.
There'll be some choice words at halftime.
Sopo dumps it off twice in a row to Kirby. He's taken out of bounds. Stops the clock with 44 seconds. Tony Parrish on the coverage.
You know, and Terry Kirby played a little bit with the 49ers as well. He's been a real asset to the Raiders the last 3 years.
There you see Gannon holding his forearm onto the baseball cap. Doesn't appear to be in a whole lot of pain, but I'm sure they'll check him out. The Raiders have a fine medical staff, and no reason to risk any further injury to continue in this game. Regular season 2 weeks from tomorrow here in Seattle. Still plenty of tickets, but here's Jerry Rice for the time being. Tuiasa Sopo to Rice, gain of 17. Timeout Raiders.
Because he has the ability to run very well with the football. Myself, I'd stay in there as long as I could. I wasn't going anywhere.
Drops back, has a man, complete. Marcus Knight still on his feet. Clock winding down. 27 seconds. Finally brought down by Zach Bronson by the Raiders. And his success has not been any better.
No, it hasn't. He's had a rough night tonight. No question about it.
Sopo looking, but cannot complete it to Terry.
Recently, in the last two series, San Francisco has really turned up the heat in terms of their pressure on the quarterback.
Good protection this time. Throws it out, overthrows Rice.
And I think he did that.
16 seconds left. 3rd and 10 from the 25. Sopo under pressure, puts the ball on the ground, gets up and throws it away. Very athletic play that time by Sopo.
He's a very athletic kid, no question about it. You know, still, it's been said, but he's the only guy to throw for 300 and rush for 200 in a football game in college.
This from 33 and 36. This one's on its way, and he's connected from 43 out.
There you go, Sebastian.
Lifts his arms, and he wants a standing ovation.
Don't let him get to you.
You know, but as a kicker, you have to have that kind of attitude.
Have that cockiness.
Oh, man, because without it, you're dead out there. Because you're on an island all by yourself when it comes down to crunch time, and you've got to kick the winning or tying field goal for your team.
You know, it's preseason for him, too, you know, and maybe you take the same approach as a veteran that you know how you have to work out kinks. And that's the weird thing about it. You don't know what's in the mind of a player when they're on the field, how they go from their.
Now the concern at halftime will turn to Rich Gannon and his wrist or his forearm. Janikowski kicking it back to Nate Jackson, and Jimmy Williams fielded by an up man on the return. Paul Smith runs it out to about the 42-yard line. Time has expired. The end of the first half. Raiders take the lead on a Janikowski field goal from 43 yards. They dominated this first half till the late touchdown by Rattay. Total yards for the Raiders 190 to San Francisco's 85, and 36 of those yards came on a big play to Terrell Owens. So the defense played very, very well, and then on the Gannon fumble.
For the rest of the preseason.
Williams and Jackson back to return. Taken by Nate Jackson. And brought down in a hurry. Nice coverage by the special teams. Eric Johnson, an 18-yard return. Good kickoff by Janikowski. Let's go down to George Atkinson, who spoke to Chuck Bresnahan as the teams came out for the second half.
I sure did, Jim, and I asked him about the play of the defense. He was with the intensity and the hitting, but he was displeased with the fact that the defense got so many penalties and allowed that last touchdown before the half. So overall, he was pleased, but there were some things he was concerned about, the penalties and giving up that last touchdown. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Tim Rattay still in at quarterback, hands it off to Saladin McCullough. Saladin McCullough from Oregon, grew up in Pasadena, California. Had been a very, very pleasant surprise.
I wonder what He Hate Me's real name is.
I know that. He Hate Me's real name. Be a trivia question here. If we go through the second half, I'm going to torture you until you come up with it. Once again, McCullough gains a couple more. Three.
But they've made some few changes on defense for the Raiders right now. A lot of other down linemen and linebackers, defensive backs.
Take a look at Bobby Brooks getting a chance to play. Middle linebacker from Fresno State, signed as a free agent a few years ago with the Raiders. Rattay with a lot of pressure, and down he goes. And the man we were just pointing the cameras at, Bobby Brooks, with the sack.
Yeah, the linebackers have been very, very active today, and we talked about the team speed of this defense, and probably even faster with the guys that back up the starters. Brooks comes in there, and it's a nothing play from the standpoint of someone else made the play. Brooks made the tackle, but just a gaping hole for him to get through.
But one of the things you mentioned is that defensive line is controlling the line of scrimmage,
right.
allowing those linebackers to make those big plays.
I used to always love when Matt came to me and said, thank you, highly. Thank you, Hiley, for keeping them off me. Matt Millen doing a good job up there with Detroit.
A familiar scene. Baker to Barlow. This one he's going to be able to field. Takes it at the 36. Goes straight forward. Can't beat the arms this time of Nate Jackson. Good coverage by the 49ers special team. 44-yard punt, 5-yard return. Raiders offense will take over when we return to Network Coliseum. Network Associates Coliseum. Really good news for Raider fans across the country. Rich Gannon probably done for the evening. In fact, certainly done for the evening. He will play against Arizona. Tuiasa Soko finds Kirby. He'll play against Arizona. That game will be on Thursday night. We'll be on the Raider Television Network once again. We'll be back here at Network Associates Stadium. Jim Plunkett, Sean Jones, myself, Chris Gray, and George Atkinson.
Against the Arizona Cardinals.
Arizona.
Still doesn't sound right. It's still St. Louis to me.
And St. Louis is still LA to me.
If we start getting into this, a lot of things are going to
Skip
sound right.
realignment, you know.
Kirby on the carry. Nice action in the backfield that time. Fake the reverse. Jamie Winborn. We'll also try and get an update for the fans on the condition of Jeff Ulbrich. We saw him go down with the left knee as he was flipped over in a pile, trying to stop Wheatley.
And it looks down there offensively that they're letting a lot of the offensive linemen starters stay in there a little bit longer with Tuiasa Soko.
Kirby stopped this time, met by a host of the 49ers. Of course, the offensive coordinator spent some time as well with the San Francisco 49ers. He now, of course, the offensive coordinator for the Raiders, and Tuiasa Soko doesn't like what he sees, and much like Garcia did twice in the second half, instead of being confused and going ahead with the play, he takes the timeout, which is a smart thing to do. He'll go. Bill Walsh, the legendary Bill Walsh, being greeted by Raider owner Al Davis. Hey guys, are there two men who've given more, accomplished more to the game of professional football than those two?
Both very innovative men who've done a lot of great things for the National Football League.
I would beg to say, if you look at the coaches in this league, and they talk about, you know, the Bill Walsh tree. There's a holding call right here.
But so the pass tonight will be nullified.
Well, you talk about the Bill Walsh tree, which includes Walsh was a Raider coach until they went through that.
Al Davis very instrumental in the career of Bill Walsh. Kirby juggles it, controls it, makes a good gain out of it. They'll pick up some of the yardage lost by the penalty. Run out of bounds by Holman. Gain of 11.
And Stubblefield, who used to play with Terry Kirby at the Niners his first time around, kind of pushing and shoving over on the sidelines, having a little bit of fun with it.
Wasn't enough names, wasn't enough room to add these names on the list, but Ronnie Lott also became a Raider, as did Jim Plunkett. Who can forget Jim Plunkett? We said at the top of the game, Tuiasa Soko to scramble for the first down.
Okay, we're all good.
On 3rd and 8, he'll come up a couple of short. He'll take it down to about the 37-yard line, so it'll be a decision for the Raiders. Do they punt it away with Jim Otto, or do we kick the field goal? Of course, Jim Otto, number 00 in the hearts and minds and the prayers, as that sign says, of all Raider fans and football fans around the United States. Jim battling prostate cancer, one of the great players in the history of professional football, played with the Raiders for 14 years. Great number 00. We wish him and his wife Sally all the best. He takes on and tries to beat prostate cancer. On 4th down, the Raiders go for it, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Barlow. As you take a look at Jim Otto, what he has meant to this organization as a player. He was the first Hall of Famer for the Raiders. This guy has had 40 operations in his life. This man has beaten all kinds of infections, all kinds of operations. If there was a guy who's bigger than cancer, it's Jim Otto, and we wish him all the best.
And I played in Green Bay, and it was worse out here in the summertime. It was horrible.
Rattay at quarterback for the 49ers. Getting the work that he needs, and we have a penalty marker thrown. Robertson joins him in the backfield. Jamal Robertson. Peter Morelli sorting things out.
Well, they slapped the ref, I know that.
Garcia hands it off. Big hole wide open. Robertson still on his feet. Jamal Robertson with a nice gain. He reversed fields and picked up 29 yards.
Yeah, Robertson gives him a little guy that's a change of pace guy, and they look for Robertson to be this guy.
Wilson goes in motion. Rattay with a pump fake, and down he goes. Third sack on the evening for the Raiders.
And you
Josh
Husky.
Taves.
And you Husky. Well, all these big Huskies in the league. Fans that don't know, I went to Northeastern, so did Josh Taves. Powerhouse. We used to schedule.
So how many Northeasterners are there in the league?
That's not important. That all of us have played in the Super Bowl. That's the important thing. Is getting through there, and we know how to finish plays. We used to schedule.
This announcement was paid for by and sponsored by Northeastern University.
But we used to schedule Stanford for homecoming.
Yeah.
Brings up a 2nd and 14. Handoff up the middle. McCullough finds the going. Very rough. DeLawrence Grant, you see 59. DeLawrence Grant has changed his number. Big number 5. Sam Adams came in and said, hey, DeLawrence, can I talk to you for a moment? You know, I like 95. I really like 95.
Actually said, you'd look pretty good in 59. Because I'm going to be wearing 95 in practice today. You don't argue with Big Sam. Sam is a big human.
You played with Sam Adams Sr., didn't you, Jim?
I certainly did. He was a guard for the New England Patriots back in '71 through about '77.
Rattay dumps it out to the tight end, Justin Swift. Swift on a gain about 8. That's going to set up 4th and 6 from the 37. So we'll.
The defensive tackle position for the Raiders. You had the starters now. Coleman, if he's relegated to a backup role, you have a quality player in the backup role, along with Taves, and even John Harris has come on this year, you know, after his stint in Philadelphia and earlier with the Raiders.
Baker puts it inside the 10-yard line where it is down by the 49ers, and the Raiders will take over from their own 5-yard line. Jerry Rice, what a career this man has had as you take a look at his first touchdown pass as a San Francisco 49er. Then all those years later, 17 years later, his first touchdown pass with the Raiders against Seattle. Rice eclipsed Jim Brown's all-time touchdown mark with 127. And he is now at 195. And right this moment, he's with George Atkinson.
Unbelievable, man. His first touchdown as a 49. I got to ask you about that. Do you remember your first touchdown?
Oh, my God. That was so long ago. I think it was against the Falcons. That was my first one because I remember catching the ball and I just kept running. You know, I had so much energy back then.
Now let's talk about your first touchdown as a Raider. I mean, they showed both of those on it too. I know you remember that. That was most recent.
Yeah, that really that felt good because I felt like I was a true Raider then, and you know, I just wanted to come out and play hard, and I think I did that. You know, tonight came out, wanted to be explosive. You know, wanted to just try to get in sync. Because, you know, we need some confidence. You know, we got one more exhibition game. And after that, then it's regular season. You know, it felt good playing a half because, you know, that's the only way you're going to get in shape. That's the way you're going to get your endurance up. And I felt really good.
You know, talk about this season. What do you expect from this offense? Last year, you guys put up a lot of points. Do you expect the same thing from this offense this year?
Well, we're going to try to turn the intensity up a little bit. Yes. You know, we want to be very productive. We want to go out. We want to play hard. We want to put points on the board. So I think, you know, each individual got to put pressure on themselves to go out there and play their best football. And we had a good season last year, and we want to have a better season this year.
You know, although it's preseason, you're playing against the 49ers. Express your feelings to the audience and what it means to you playing against your old team?
Oh, it's always exciting. You know, it's always, you know, because, like I said, I wanted to come out and I want to be productive. And, it's just one of those situations where, I'm a Raider now. I'm very happy. And the opponent, you just try to go out and you try to destroy. And you're going to take some blows. They're going to take some shots at you, but you got to keep your composure and still.
Man, thanks for your time. Good luck this season. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, George. Nice job. And I'm usually an interviewer on television. I have been for a long time. And the great thing about Jerry Rice is greatness on the field, but he's also such a good interviewer. He always has something fresh, new to say. A guy who's been interviewed that many times to come up with new answers and new thoughts. Really refreshing for the fans. 4 catches tonight, 50 yards. He came into camp 16 pounds heavier, lost 50 pounds, now playing at his playing weight. But let me throw this out to you, Jim. With your longevity in the National Football League as a player, is he perhaps the greatest player in the history of professional football?
Well, you got to divide it up into certain categories, and certainly as a receiver, there's no question about it. He's one of the best players I've ever seen, and the way he maintains his abilities through hard work, and that's what it takes, and he'll be the first to admit that. There's no question about it. And he works extremely hard. He's still productive 17 years after his you can't say enough about the guy. Not only does he work hard, he's just a great player. He's got great hands, can come up with a big play when you need it. He's the guy you want to go to in any clutch situation, along with Tim Brown. I've been amazed at how well he's performed over all these years.
That's the point I was going to make. I don't know how he does it. Jerry Rice is 39 years old. He's older than I am. Okay. And he's
I wouldn't have thought that.
He'll be 40 in October.
You know what, Plunkett? I'll tell you what.
What?
You don't have a uniform. You're a lot tougher now without a uniform.
Dempke with a good kick. Williams lets it bounce. Takes a good bounce once again. Dempke's got some good bounces tonight. He's going to get a job out of this thing. He's going to come in and fill in for a couple weeks for Leckler on the Thursday before. But for the Raiders, September the 8th against Seattle here at the Oakland Coliseum. Take a look at the Raiders. Team they'll face, Seattle, the only team not in the division anymore, the new AFC West. Denver with Greasy trying to come back, but no Terrell Davis. Of course, Clinton Portis will be filling in for him. Kansas City, Priest Holmes. Of course, the Marty Schottenheimer era now begins in Kansas City. Drew Brees will be the head coach. Coleman on the stop of McCullough. How do you gentlemen assess just exactly where the Raiders fit as they try and attempt to become 3-time AFC West champions with the new division?
Well, I think they're sitting pretty good. They're still the team to beat. They've won the division the last 2 years. Terrell Davis really hasn't been a factor in Denver the last couple of years anyway. Priest Holmes now with Kansas City. We should provide them with a better running game, which they sorely need. And Drew Brees, the new quarterback of San Diego, he's still going to be in the learning curve right now. And the Raiders, with the experienced defense they have, should be able to manage Drew Brees.
Well, I think it's a division of, that's going through some kind of turmoil just by all the things that you mentioned. And the team that tries to keep the most consistency or keeps the most consistency, I still believe that's the Raiders right now. The only thing that they changed was the head coach. And I was talking to the Raiders earlier and talking to Skip Pete, people like that. He said, it's weird. From our perspective, it was just like John Gruden went into his office and he just never came out. We just never missed a beat from the standpoint of any continuity. So for that reason, I have a good opportunity in terms of repeating or even setting a precedent to become a 3-time AFC champion.
Pass is ruled complete on a nice catch by Scott Coleman.
We haven't had a
ruled that he was pushed out of those things is non-reviewable.
Well, we'll know in a second as soon as the ball snapped and it's not reviewable.
Aaron Pointer, the referee, the judge over there on that play, had a bad call. Here comes Rattay. Be that as it may, it will hold up. He threw it away. That's a horrible call. 5 for 6 on the evening.
I think
Hands the ball off to McCullough.
If the Raiders learned anything from last season, and this is not to belabor the point about the tough rule game, is that if you're going to be a champion, you can't just expect things to be given to you or play games so close to the best that the referees come into play. You just have to go out and take it. The Raiders are a talented enough football team where whatever happens with the strike guys out there, it shouldn't really make a difference. They should be able to dominate with the talent that they have, in this division.
As you take a look at many of the Raiders starters now over on the sidelines, several of the backups, rookies are into the game right now. 3rd and 9. Rattay finds Justin Swift for a first down.
Down on his wrist. There's a lot of learning going on during the course of training camp for these young players.
Well, I think the thought process, though, Napoleon Harris is a guy that got after the quarterback in college, played the weak side linebacker, played some strong, never really played the middle. The thought process with the Raiders, though, was stick him in the middle, give him as much as it could possibly get as a rookie in terms of responsibility. The middle linebacker in the Raiders defense calls all the plays.
Right.
If you give a kid that kind of responsibility and his learning curve is brought up to speed from the standpoint of what you're going to want him to do, then anything less than that from the weak side or from the strong will be that much easier for him. So it's a good learning process for him. It's kind of like when I was a rookie, they stuck me at nose guard.
You look like a nose guard to me.
A 6'7" nose guard. I got my butt kicked.
Ball batted away by the Raiders. John Harris, he got his big arm up there.
And John,
Harris, a 300-pounder plus.
Yeah, John really done a good job in camp.
Rattay dumps it off, breaking a tackle. McCullough, or Robertson, check that. But he's short of the first down. John Harris on the tackle.
Another play by Harris showing his versatility, being able to get outside. And
on their feet, the 49ers, as the third quarter winds down, will go for it on 4th and 5. Rattay, everybody out. A couple of men fall down, and now a penalty marker comes. It was intended for Cedric Wilson, but he was knocked to the ground by Terrence Shaw. Legs became entangled. And we'll see what the referees decide. Interference against the Raiders. Shaw.
Together, some good things can happen.
Man, thanks for your time. Jim, back to you.
Good to see Rod Woodson with a good performance tonight. Robertson on the carry. 2nd down and 8 from the 18. Take a look at the Pro Bowlers that are playing for both of these teams. Steve Wisniewski, of course, retired. 2000 season. Gannon, Kennedy, Woodson, Trace Armstrong coming over from Miami. Woodson. They've got productive.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to make that argument.
Pretty productive, that group right there. Regardless of their age, they're still playing in Pro Bowl.
don't play nearly as many downs as you used to in this league because of the substitutions on 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down. And you might play half as many downs as many years.
That's a great point. Tay very collected in the pocket with a lot of pressure, finds McCullough, and he takes it all the way down to the 7-yard line, gain of 16. A lot of pressure on Rattay. He was after this play, decided to leave his feet instead of pursue the quarterback. As we take a look right now at 1st and 7 from the 7. McCullough goes around the end, and he's taken down on about the 1-yard line. We have a penalty marker down.
And Jim, good question. It's a good question. But as a rule, you should never leave your feet.
Holding, number 18 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
Yeah, 3-step drop. You're not going to get to the quarterback anyhow, so you get as much push as you possibly can and just raise up and get as big as you possibly can as a defensive line.
1st and 17, goal to go. Rattay gets back 8 of it to Justin Swift. Justin Swift, who came into the game with a hip problem.
Rattay's down, looks like.
Playing pretty well. Rattay knocked to the ground, and now he is holding his right, appears to be calf.
In the West Coast offense.
You always like to think you're going to fare well. I don't know. I fared well. They didn't have it when I was there. They didn't have it in New England. It wasn't even around until Bill Walsh basically started that kind of quick passing offense. And, some of it was very risky because he would let guys run free, and It's an offense that confuses people. You know, I mean, you run short crosses, people get picked off. Guys are running free quite often. You know, there's a lot to it, and you know, it's hard to defend.
Rattay misses James Jordan on the 16th play of this drive. So now with an attempt to tie up this football game, the 49ers having a battle for their kicking position between the incumbent Jose Cortez and Jeff Chandler. And Chandler will get the call on this one. Chandler has handled the kickoff duties tonight as well. He will now attempt a short 24-yard field goal. And he's got it. So this game is knotted up at 10. He helps his cause. 4th round pick from Florida. Ties the ball game up at 10. Decisions. And get ready to play on Thursday here at the Coliseum against Arizona. Kickoff is taken by Derek Combs. Combs still on his feet, makes a nice return of it out to the 40-yard line. On the infield, he goes down on the dirt, holds on to the football. That a big concern after what went on last week. And the special teams have acquitted themselves quite well, with the exception maybe of for the Raiders, the 3rd-string quarterback, with Bobby Hoeing being let go in his position in the 3rd string. Appears as though he has made the team. Amadre Hill takes the ball around the corner for a gain of 9. 2nd-year player out of Arkansas. Tuiasa Sopo finishes the evening 8 for 12, 72 yards. He continues to grow in his progress, as you see him talking to Rich Gannon. Continues to be quite well. Myrer again to Hill. He has the 1st down, and he's running hard. Madre Hill has the speed to turn that corner. He's fighting for a position.
As they're all fighting, and they're all fighting for positions right now. A lot of these young players need to show what they can do and show what they can do quickly. And you got a guy in Rick Myra who's been around the league for 10 years, been with 6 different teams. The last 2 years with the San Francisco 49ers. So he's an experienced guy they brought in place of Rodney Peete, actually, to lend that little bit of experience that you know, they're looking for in case something happens to Rich Gannon.
Well, a man who had a great run tonight, and he is the running back of the Raiders. Charlie Gardner is joining George Atkinson. Gentlemen.
Yes, he is, Jim. He is the running back of the Oakland Raiders, and he did rip off a long one tonight. Does that mean that this offense is starting to gel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what we wanted to do tonight. Establish some tempo on offense, and that's what we did.
You know, you're playing against your former team. Does that give you any added incentive to come out and do the Charlie Gardner thing, which is that quickness and getting in and out of holes?
Always. I mean, you know, those guys know what I can do because I was doing it over there. So I just wanted to show them how I feel on the other side of the ball.
Now, you got Wheatley coming back, but you guys as a tandem, that should spell trouble for the other defenses in the league.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's what we were trying to do last year, but Wheatley was slow by injury. But he's bouncing back strong this year. That 1-2 punch to hurt some people.
Well, that's what everyone here in the Bear is looking for, especially Raider fans, is that 1-2 punch with you and Wheatley. Thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Right,
guys, back to you.
All right, Melvin Barnett with a 17-yard game from Myrer. Some nifty running by Barnett. Big load from Baylor. And here's Hill again, going around the left end this time. Several penalty markers fly, and it looks as though Elijah Thurman, wide receiver, got tangled up.
That are getting sync on, but some of them, their lack of execution or not working yourself through blocks in terms of putting your hands in the right position, you're just not getting calls. If you went and try to make a holding call on every play, you could probably call it. So the good ones just don't get caught. That's what the young guys have to learn, not getting caught in some of these holding calls.
Myrer steps up right at the right time, very adeptly avoids getting clobbered. Cornelius Anthony pushes him out of bounds, but you know, we saw Bill Walsh earlier, and Tom Flores is right next door to us here. Tom Flores, of course, had Rick Myrer in Seattle. Bill Walsh thought he was going to be another Joe Montana, he was quoted as saying, when he came into the National Football League. So a lot of people were very high on Rick Myrer. He, of course, has gone through several teams: Seattle, Chicago, Green Bay, the Jets, and most recently last year with the 49ers. There's a nice pass by Meyer, caught by Thurman. So Rick Meyer is one of these guys who now finds himself trying to make the team as a third quarterback, having never quite gotten to the point where he had hoped in his career, but still with an ability to make a contribution if a team ever got into a pinch. How do you adjust, Jim, having had so much expectations and now you find yourself in this type of position?
Well, I think for him it's been the last several years where he's bounced from team to team, never, really given a shot after he left Seattle to really be the man, the quarterback. I think he's just kind of accepted the fact that, he's here to help any way he can. He's a smart kid. He's run this kind of system before, so that, he's from what's going on. And I think that, he can be a big asset, but I don't think it's a starter for 16 weeks. I think it's coming in off the bench and giving somebody, some good playing time while he's out there. And, he's a guy who's capable of doing that.
And you see it with Rick right now. Rick, when people made the assessment on Rick, they weren't wrong. Rick can make every single throw that there is out there and had some success, like you said, in Seattle. But, sometimes this game is a game that evolves, and not all the time are you get the career that you hope for.
Right.
And some guys bounce around, and luck of the draw, they end up in a situation. But you're right, he could be a nice short reliever for any team.
Touchdown, Madre Hill. He takes.
And luck of the draw, they end up in a situation. But you're right, he could be a nice short reliever for any team.
Touchdown, Madre Hill. He takes it in from 15 yards out. The Raiders have gone ahead by a touchdown as Rick Meyer comes in and engineers a wonderful drive. Madre Hill scores. 32 yards on the drive for Madre Hill. A 15-yard touchdown. And if Janikowski can tack one on, the Raiders will be up by a touchdown with 7:19 left to play. So Madre Hill using some of that 4-5 speed. High snap, good hold by Leckler. Puts it through the upright. Well, he led the World League. Came from Cleveland, then San Diego, and he spiked that one on the 49ers.
The running backs that they have in this football team, we've mentioned Wheatley and Garner and Terry Kirby. If they're entrenched there,
Randy Jordan,
Jordan, Crockett,
Jimmy Williams on his feet. One man to beat, but he's caught from behind, so Janikowski did not have to make the tackle. He is taken down from behind by Mike Jones. Saved a tackle in the Super Bowl. Not quite as important right here, but he comes from behind. Mike Jones showing his value. The 49ers over when we return.
Can't afford that. No matter how good an offensive defense you have, if you keep giving up field position like that, it puts you in a horrible position on the defensive side of the ball.
49ers trying to rally. Jamal Robertson with a big hole. Gained 7 or 8. Well, many of the Raiders starters have been finished for a quarter and a half now. One of them's down there with George Atkinson. George?
Yes, guys, I have with me who I'm trying to get actually is Perella, who's behind me, as you can see, and I'm going to walk over and get him right this minute as he starts this way. And, John, you're the big guy on defense today. Defense, we're amped up. Talk about the defense, defensive line, and what we can expect from the line.
Well, I think today we just want to go out early and just set a precedence how we can play and what these last 2 we maybe didn't start real fast, so this week we wanted to try to start fast, and I think we accomplished that.
Now, you came here as a run stopper, but you showed signs of pass rush today. Where did that come from?
I'm learning from Trace Armstrong. He's teaching me a lot. And, our coach does a heck of a job of not only teaching us, our proper techniques against the run, but also things that we can use in the pass rush.
Now, Sam Adams came over this week. What will he mean to the defense?
That's huge. Have a guy like that obviously a big guy that can stop the run and a lot of experience, and hopefully together with, with the other and put on a good showing this year.
Okay, man. Thanks for your time. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you, George.
Kind of looks like a football player.
Man, he looks like he's ready to do battle, but he
looks like a Raider too, doesn't he?
He loses to Mike Walker, and I think Mike Walker is underrated as a defensive line coach because he does something that is rare in the NFL nowadays. Watch his play develop.
There's a big play. made by the 49ers. James Jordan takes the pass, breaks it off for a long gain, takes it all the way down on a 35 gain to the 9-yard line is where they're going to call him down.
Was in the game. That's just a bad play all the way around by the Raider defense.
Louisiana Tech to Louisiana Tech there. They hook up. Ball is given on the handoff to Robertson. He takes it down to the 5-yard line. He is dragged down from behind by Brandon Jennings. So the Raiders with the lead. And 5:25 left on the clock.
Now
are in danger now.
The last time they
giving
were
up a touchdown.
Sorry about that, Jim. The last time they were in this situation, they did a good job of holding them out of there. And so even if you play this bend but don't break type defense, this is good experience for the young guys. The worst thing that can happen is when you start to get hurt and the young guy comes on the field with his eyes like he's a deer with a headlight. You have to have guys that are battle tested, and this gives them an opportunity to do that.
Rattay finds in the back of the end zone for a touchdown Brian Jennings, but there's a flag on the play. Check that. That's Anelli. Mark Anelli, not Jennings. I stand corrected, but it doesn't matter. It won't count anyway.
Number 60 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Yeah, but Sean, I don't know if this unit has been together all through training camp. They've got a lot of substitutions, and maybe the second unit intact did a very good job, but this is getting down to almost some third and fourth string players out there who haven't played a lot of football this preseason. So as a unit, they're probably not working all that well together.
Ty Wise draws the flag, so it's 2nd and 15 from the 15. Crowd heated up again, shouting some encouragement. Lobbed up in the air, defended by Combs. No flag, no foul, no catch.
That's good coverage by
James
Combs.
Jordan on the attempt to catch it.
I think he turned around just in time as the ball was coming down.
Right, just in time. You're going to see the coverage here by Combs. Combs is a converted. Actually did pretty well last year, Jim, at the running back position, but with the numbers stacked against him, couldn't make it. Making the transition now as a corner, and that we keep stressing over and over. Everyone's not going to make this football team,
right.
But what you want to do is put on a good enough performance that the 31 other teams that are looking, going to their tape, maybe think that you could be a fit on their football team.
3rd and 15 from the 15. Rattay with some pressure puts it up again. This time he overshoots Wilson.
And you have to love the way that the Raiders responded.
Oh yeah, especially on 3rd and long. It's a must situation for them to get to the quarterback. They put extreme pressure on him, and it forces him to throw the ball out of bounds.
4th and goal from the 15. 49ers looking to tie it up. The Raiders looking to hold them. Rattay incomplete. Attended for Anelli. Broken up by Nash. Nice play by Kenyon Nash, trying to make this team a 6th-round pick from Albany State. Drafted number 189. Steve Mariucci breathes a big sigh of relief. Who says you don't want to win preseason games? .com. Jim Gray, Sean Jones, Jim Plunkett, and George Atkins you tonight. A lot of help up in the booth. Art Snyder, Saviano Rubicava, our spotters. Mr. Stats, Elliot Kalb. Pleased to have you with us as the Raiders try and get their first victory in the preseason. 4:24 and counting. The clock winding down. Raiders have a touchdown lead. The Battle of the Bay. Game on the television on 2 channels here in the Bay Area.
It's
throughout Southern California. Not many people, unfortunately, here in the stands to witness it.
Always fun, though, in the 4th quarter to go in the stands of a Raiders game after the fans have had the beverages of their choice. They take on a totally different persona.
Yes, they do. Or maybe not. But I think this is another indicator, though, of how good a team is. And I know we've got a lot of substitutions in there right now, but how well you can keep the ball away from the other team, whether you can run the clock out, keep it away from the other team so they don't have another opportunity to score.
line early, and now you see the offensive line in front of Rick Meyer includes a guy that they're really high on, Langston Walker.
Marcus Knight from Myra. Marcus Knight makes a nice grab for 27 yards. He continues to impress.
Yeah, we said that competition for that 5th spot is between Hatchett, Marcus Knight, as well as Reggie Barlow. Reggie Barlow's had a nice night. Has had a nice night, Jim. And Hatchett really hasn't had the opportunity. Right.
Exactly. And then, sometimes that's what it boils down to, too.
Terrific pass by Rick Meyer, Jim.
It was very good. He stood in the pocket for quite a long time.
All right, well, all the Raider fans held their breath at the end of the first half on a fumble by Rich Gannon. He came up holding his left hand. George Atkinson is now with
San Francisco.
Rich Gannon. George?
Sam and Rich, a lot of fans are concerned. You okay? You came up with the left hand holding it after the play in the first quarter.
Yeah, I feel fine. I just got smacked on the wrist and kind of stunned for a little bit, but I think I'll be fine. So
good. In the offense, you were able to move the ball between the red zone, but you weren't able to get it in. Is that a major concern?
Yeah, a little frustrating. We felt like we had a pretty good plan and moved it around a little bit early, and but we just couldn't get it in the end zone. We got these special teams that scored that touchdown for us, and we'll just keep working, plugging away. But we did show a little bit more tonight, and hopefully we clean some things up and get ready for next week.
In preseason, there are certain things you try to accomplish. In this game, I'm pretty sure you came in with certain things you want to accomplish. Did you guys get those things accomplished?
Yeah, I've got to look at a lot of young people again, and we just continue to install the offense and continue to try and progress and clean some things up, and hopefully, when we come to the beginning of the season, we play our best football, and from there on out. So,
man, thanks for your time. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you, George. Gentlemen, how important? You got a 7-point lead. How important is a victory for the Raiders?
It's always important to win, I think. It makes you feel better. Your whole general week is a lot better. You feel more confident and positive about your football team. But, it's still preseason, and I think Jerry Rice had a great quote. He said, it's not important that we win. It's just important that we get better when we're out there tonight. And, he's absolutely right. But nonetheless, it still feels very good to win a football game.
San Francisco takes another timeout to stop the clock. 24 left. Mr. Stats all over it tonight, just handed me a very impressive note regarding the Raiders defense. The 49ers have been held to 65 yards rushing tonight, and if you take away Robertson's 29-yard run here in the second half, the 49ers had 18 rushes for only 36 yards. That's 2 yards per carry, and that
you could win.
It's quite a job.
Yeah, you can win a lot of ball games with that, doing that. Yeah.
I think the Raiders are going to be pleased when they watch the tape.
Sure.
In terms of what they saw, and just obviously the things you see, but a dramatic improvement from the first 2 games.
Doug Jolly now. I'm sorry. Excuse me, guys.
You mentioned Doug Jolly coming in, draft choice from BYU, tight end. But how the Raiders approach preseason. You win, and that's fine. If you don't win, as long as you get better every time you go out there. You make mistakes, you correct them.
They got better tonight. Of course, we saw a lot more of the regulars. Game was at home, and it's their 3rd game. Myra now a perfect 6 for 6 as he completes that one for 11 yards. So that's 74 yards on the evening for him. Elijah Thurman.
I'd like someone to go back. You see Thurman here, nice move here, getting separation and hauling the ball in. But go back and check the Yankees in spring training and see what their record is. Check the Red Wings and see what their record is in the preseason. I just don't think it's that important. What's more important is how well you do during the regular season.
And the regular season begins 2 weeks from tomorrow. Jim Gray, Sean Jones, Jim Plunkett, George Atkinson. Final 2 minutes of this one. The Raiders lead by 7. They have the ball 1st and 10 on the San Francisco 45-yard line. Rick Meyer playing very well tonight. Hands it off to Hill. He picks up a couple. The clock will wind down. San Francisco now will take their final timeout of the game. Steve Mariucci, he'll get ready for cut down day, and then on Wednesday they will finish their 5th preseason game at home against San Diego. Mariucci earlier in the week said that it was just too much football to play 5 games because it adds another 12 or 15 practices. He says it's great to spread football around the USA by going over to Japan. However, it just gets to be too much, and he says you go into the survival mode. You need 5 games. And Steve Mariucci, who has his club back on top with a 12-4 record, looks to have another good season for the 49ers. As for the Raiders, they look to get on track tonight, a better performance as they move forward and get ready for Arizona, who will be coming in here on Thursday night, and they will crank it up the final 10 days before they have their first game 2 weeks from tomorrow. Beautiful job tonight done by our producer Billy Zager. Terrific directing as usual by Andy Rosenberg. Guys, your assessment of what we've seen here tonight, the strong points, the pluses, Sean.
Well, I think they had to come into this game and address the special teams and the issues that they were having. I thought all in all they did some things or had made some strides in being able to do that. Defensively, they had to address stopping them. I know where they came out today and just flew around. We saw some activity. We saw guys getting after it. We saw players up the field. We saw them defending balls, hard hits, getting after the quarterback, Raider-type football. So in that respect, I think they accomplished those things. If I had a sticking point, Jim, penalties. I still think there are way too many penalties, irrespective of it being preseason or not. Way too many penalties.
And from the offensive standpoint, I thought they did a very good job moving the football. They improved the running game immensely this evening. They looked more offensively. Rich Gannon got off to a little bit of a slow start for him. Only 4 of 8 in the first quarter, but like 10 of 12 in the second quarter. And it looked much sharper, so I think he's running the shed. You know, another disappointment. You mentioned special teams a little bit. Janikowski missed a 2 out of 3 field goal. You know, you can't do that because, you know, as often as he's been doing it, because it comes down to, you know, a lot of times you got to make that field goal. You got to make that extra point when it counts. And, you know, very few games the Raiders play seem to be a bigger spread than 1 touchdown.
They brought him in here because they were having those kind of issues. And, you know, the year before he got there, you know, losing so many close games, free 2 points, that's why they brought him in here. And so you like to see that worked out. On the flip side of it, you love what Stemke has done today. You know, sure, we know they're entrenched in terms of who they're going with as their punter, but he's putting on a nice showing in terms of being able to prove that he can play in this league.
Right. And a nice thing from the Raiders' standpoint is it appears as though they'll come out of this game without anybody getting injured. And of course, in preseason, when you can avoid the injuries, and unfortunately, Jeff Ulbrich, we don't know the extent of his injury, but he has left. And then, of course, a couple of series ago for the 49ers as well, Chad Ward was carried off the field. So those injuries will have to be evaluated for them. But the Raiders look to come out of this game with nobody, at least apparently from our visual standpoint up here, to be banged or hurt.
But in that last drive by Myra and company, you know, they kept the ball for over 4 minutes, kept it away from the 49er offense, and I think that's a good thing too. It shows that they can run the football, throw when they have to on 3rd down to convert to 1st downs and keep the ball away from the other team. And I think that's so very important down the stretch in particular. You know, maybe you don't even score, but you eat up enough time off the clock that they don't have the other team does not have the opportunity to score.
Do you remember your first preseason victory? What will it feel like for Bill Callahan to get his first victory in the National Football League, be it a preseason game?
I'm sure he'll be excited as can be. You know, he's just thrilled to be a head coach right now with the Raiders, and you know, this is a big thrill for him. A bigger thrill will become when he gets that first victory opening day against the Seattle Seahawks.
It'll be a lot more thrilling if he gets one in January, the last game of the season.
No question about it.
Final play of the game as the Raiders defense take down the 49ers and they win the Battle of the Bay. Bill Callahan gets his victory. A preseason victory against Steve Mariucci, and the Raiders have bragging rights at least until November the 3rd, when these two teams will meet once again. The Raiders win 17-10. They get their first victory in the preseason. They now move to 1-2, and Arizona will come in here Thursday night. We'll be back with some final thoughts.